on my end for some reason. My name is Rod Bourne, and I am the project director for Goldman Sachs' 10,000 Small Businesses program here in Maryland. And I am based out of CCBC. The program is in 20 sites around the nation. It came to the Maryland area about 3 years ago. In the format that Goldman has set up for this, in each of the 20 sites, it is run through a regional community college. That's my tie into CCBC. So whether you are in New York or LA or Cleveland, the program, which is the same across the nation, is run through a local community college, because Goldman feels, and I agree, that community colleges tend to have very close relationships, very positive relationships with small business owners. And that's really what this program is obviously all about. There are other similar programs that Goldman Sachs supports. You may have heard of one that is specifically for women business owners. The criteria is a little bit different, which I will get into in terms of minimum qualifications on this program. The program is about 12 years old, so it was about 8 or 9 years old before coming to Baltimore. Baltimore was the 13th program that was opened, and obviously with 20 now, it continues to grow. The original name, or the name was originally conceived because they wanted 10,000 small business owners to go through this program. And we've actually reached that number as of just the beginning of this year. That doesn't mean that the program is going away, that now that they've reached that mark. The program has had a lot of success. It's had a huge economic impact throughout the country. I'll show you those stats as well. So we plan on continuing going strong. So to jump into it, the program was designed by Babson University up in Massachusetts. Goldman went to them and said, hey, we want to develop this program. You guys are leading entrepreneur school in the nation. And Babson took the ball and ran with it. And they created, this is essentially a mini MBA, folks. So it takes people who, and there are business owners with various backgrounds. There are some who have not finished high school, but have started up their own business and doing quite well. There are people with MSs, BSs, MBAs, who are all going through this together. But this is like a mini MBA, and it provides an education that focuses specifically on your best growth area. So you may do 3 or 4 things. You may offer 3 or 4 services, or make 3 or 4 different products, or maybe even more. You may have 2 businesses that you own. What this asks you to do is focus on the best opportunity for you to grow your business. We provide access to capital, not in the sense that Goldman will be waiting at the end of the program to hand out money to you, but in terms of opening doors for you to lenders at better rates, whether they are traditional banks or other less conventional lenders who are still legitimate. That is what we do. In some of the actual sessions, we bring in people who are bankers, and we have a panel. We talk about how to find a banker, how to fire your banker, how to find a new banker or lender. So that's the access to capital. And then business support services. As you're going through this program, as you are designing what your growth plan is, you will be given a business advisor, a BA, or a business coach. And let me tell you, I don't know if I know a group of sharper individuals here. The women that are our current BAs are amazing. They have big hearts, but they also know how to give tough talks. There are times at the end of the conversations, there's a business owner or two that has got some tears coming down their face, but it's because the BAs are being very, very honest with them, and they want them to succeed. And so they have these conversations. You have to have 5 meetings at least with your BAs, and in doing so, it just helps you get even more traction. They help you focus on things that you haven't thought of before that you may not be really strong in. This is essentially what the sessions look like. So there are 9 topics, and you meet approximately 17 times, so essentially twice on each topic. After your orientation, where you get to meet everybody, you focus on your best growth opportunity. You look at money and metrics, how your leadership qualities are, HR issues, things that relate to employment law, how you do your marketing and selling, really breaking down your operational processes, how to negotiate, legal issues, all those kinds of things to go, and then you wrap it all up. Pre-COVID, this is what the schedule essentially looked like. So it was a full day once a week, essentially, where you would meet. The program is held on the Hopkins campus in Baltimore City, and you're there for all day, basically from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And you pulled in, they cover your parking, they cover your food. As a matter of fact, you eat really well when you're there, and you're there all day. And there are 40 people that go through this program at the same time. So you make 39 brand new brothers and sisters who are going through the same thing as you are, and we put you into teams. And so you get to know 4 of these people extremely well. They help you with your growth plan as you help them. And if you are not doing business with at least one of the 39 other business owners, by the time you leave, you've kind of missed one of the boats, in my opinion. But you can see that this is a breakdown of the programs. Since COVID hit, we've had to change this obviously a little bit. We're all virtual for now. We hope to go back to the one-on-ones or the full one-day sessions. As we're going now, we typically meet on Mondays and Fridays, and sometimes on Wednesdays for 1 hour online. You're also given some extra time with your BAs because you have homework. It's not something where you just show up for an hour and boom, you're done. You will be working on this at least 2 to 3 hours a day. So that's one of the things that you have to think of if you want to go through this program, which is free, by the way, but it's highly competitive to get into. You need to know that you're going to be spending 2 to 3 hours at least per day working on this, preparing for whatever the next session is, doing your homework, so that you stay caught up with everything that's going on. And you can see the rest of the modules that we have in the system that we have now. So since the conception of the program 13 years ago, the people who have gone through it have grown their businesses collectively by over $9 billion in revenue and have hired 130,000 new employees. So the minimum criteria in the Baltimore area, in the Maryland area, is 2 years in business, 2 people on payroll, 100,000 in revenue. It fluctuates a little bit from program to program based on regional economic patterns. But on average, when you take all the 20 of the programs together, you're looking at median age of 12 years in business with 11 employees. Median revenue is about $750,000, and almost half are family-owned businesses. We have a lot of legacies that come through. As I mentioned, the program is free. There's no financial cost to you, but aside from your time while you're going through the program, you also need to keep the obligation to report back to Goldman Sachs 6 months, 18 months, and 30 months after you leave the program. And the 2 key things that they want to know is, how are you growing in terms of revenue, and how are you growing in terms of job development? So they want to know how much more money you're making and how many more people you are hiring. They see those as key economic drivers. So throughout the country, there is a 98.5 program completion rate. In Maryland, it's over 99%. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're not doing business with one of the other 39 business owners in your cohort, you're kind of missing one of the boats. You can see the stat at the bottom there, 87.5% of graduates do business together. That's nationwide. In Baltimore, it's a little bit higher. The Baltimore program is very rich, very robust. You have an incredible team of instructors and business leaders. So again, typical business criteria for the Maryland area. This is not for someone who is president or vice president. This is an owner or co-owner of the business. There is an option for that, though. If the owner writes a letter for the president or COO, who may not be the owner, requesting that person goes through, it will be considered. Again, in operation for at least 2 years, annual revenue above 100,000, and at least 2 employees. So the way that this program runs is everything is done online. So if a company is interested in pursuing this, they go online, they fill out an application. Application has 2 parts. The first part is kind of basic. Tell us about your business. What's the history of it? What is it that you do? What are your basic numbers? The second part is downloading more hard data. So they want your financials. They're going to want to look at your earnings for the last couple of years, your taxes for the last couple of years. If you're doing something in QuickBooks, that's perfect. They aren't looking for anything more beyond that. If you are like me and you're not a really strong numbers person, we have resources where sometimes for free we can say, okay, talk to this person. It might be one of the business coaches. They can get your numbers up and completed to the degree that they need to be for that second application, that second part where you're uploading all those hard numbers. If your numbers look good, if your application is strong, then you will be invited in for an interview. And I'll give you some numbers. So we run this program 3 times a year, from January to April, from May to August, and September through December. So 3 times a year, each year. And you come in for a 30-minute interview. These days, obviously, we're doing things online. So it is a 3-person panel that you interview with. And they just ask you questions about your company. Tell us about what you wrote in your application, flesh it out a little bit more for us. Depending on how well you do in those, they will select the top 40 candidates to go through that. Typically, we receive anywhere between 120 to 180 applications, and we invite about 60 to 80 people to apply each of those 3 times each year. So that is it in a nutshell. If you are interested in applying, we are currently taking applications for the May cohort, which hopefully will be back in person. So if you're interested in that, I can put my contact information in the chat area, and by all means, be more than happy to talk with you. And that is my program. So
well,
there you go.
What a powerful program that is, especially for the people that fit that criteria. So if I have a few questions myself, but if any of the attendees would like to ask a question, there's a Q&A button that you can press, and I will make sure Rod sees that question. So, there are criterias for this program. You said that a lot of them are family owned, things like that. So when you're saying 2 employees, $100,000, 2 employees, that could be family. It could be as long as they're on the payroll, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And right now, because COVID is having such an impact, making people pivot and everything else, they can be a little flexible on that right now. So for example, if you have 1 full-time employee and 3 part-time employees, they would be willing to consider that. If you had lots of 1099s and a couple part-time, they might consider that. So they're giving a little bit of leeway, not a lot, especially on the 1099s, but they understand what's going on and how people have had to flex.
Okay, perfect. I will apologize if you guys hear my lawn guys outside. They picked the 30 minutes today to come out that I needed a little bit of quiet. So don't know if that's picking up or not. Rod just put his contact information in the chat. So if you'd like to take that down. Another question is when they're doing the interview, can you give us maybe some tips? Like what are they looking for in that interview? You're mute, Rod, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So I didn't want them to hear any mowers that I may have in my if it's in person, typically it's held over the course of 2 days where we bring everybody in. So folks will come in and they'll see other people who are also interviewing. And typically myself or my counterpart, Will Holmes, will be there to kind of greet you because we know most of the people that are coming in to interview, and we're just there to calm you down. And the interviews, all they're going to be doing is asking you about stuff you know like the back of your hand, your company. You know, when was it founded? Why was it founded? Why is it that you do what you do? Tell us about things that excite you about your company. Tell us about things that concern you about your company. What do you do really well? Tell us about the most recent difficulty that you had. Those kinds of things. The last thing that they want to hear is, Kathleen, I really want to kind of up my numbers as quickly as I can so that I can sell it and retire to the Caribbean. They don't want to hear that. What they want to hear is that you want to continue to grow, that you want to continue to be a force in your neighborhood so that you can bring in more revenue, which taxes also are included in that, and increase employment in your area. And it doesn't matter if you're in Baltimore City, if you're in Washington County, or any place in between. That's what they're looking for, is success in your area. So these days, everything is again online. So an interview would be you just clicking in, and you get to meet probably 3 panelists. There might be somebody from Babson University, again, the people who created it. There might be someone from Goldman Sachs. There might be someone from CCBC. We have 2 other partner schools. I mentioned that the program is typically logistically handled by Johns Hopkins, so there might be someone from Hopkins. Morgan University, Morgan State is also involved, so it might be someone from Morgan. There is a group that does all the measuring, and they're called ICIC, and they're essentially just the numbers people for this program. So 3 people from one of those institutions, and they'll just ask you questions. Again, tell us about your company, what you hope for, what your concerns are.
See, now I'm muted. If I remembered that last slide, you said for the next round, which would actually be in the spring,
Right.
The deadline would be, was it January 15th?
Yep, January 15th. So again, we run it, the start dates are in early January, early May, and early September. And they run for about 3.5 months. So January goes to April, May goes through August, and September ends in mid-December. So I'm glad you bring that up, Kathleen, because one of the things that sometimes happens is there may be people who they tend to be more seasonal in what it is that they do. And let's say that you're a summer season kind of organization. And you're like, I'd love to do this, but May just doesn't work well for me. You can still interview, and you can ask to defer to the following cohort. So you can say, hey, I heard about this from Kathleen. Really interested, really excited, but is there a way that I can defer until the fall? And usually they're like, yeah, that's no problem. Typically, we will interview, we'll come away from interviews with anywhere from 6 to 12 people deferred to the next cohort, the following cohort.
Okay, perfect. Well, this was great, Rod. I really do appreciate you taking your time
Absolutely.
on and technical difficulties and all. So we got it done. And I just want to mention that CCBC is a partner of ours at the Northwest Chamber. They're on our board. They do a lot with the Northwest Chamber, and we do appreciate your participation and your support. And there are many other programs at CCBC as well that our members and other business professionals could take advantage of during the year.
Yep. Yeah. I know my friend Maura is probably pretty involved with you guys. She is fantastic, smart, bright woman. If you need any kind of support, whether it's an online class, you want someone to come in and do some training for you and your crew or whatever, Maura is a wonderful touchstone for that. So please reach out to her.
Shout out to Maura. Okay, well, I appreciate you taking your time once again. Go Ravens. I see the banner in the background, right?
You bet. You bet.
You can tell we're in Baltimore. And I appreciate everyone for attending. And this has been recorded. It will be uploaded into the Chamber's YouTube channel, and you will see this shared everywhere. So, Facebook page, our newsletter, everything. So, you can come back to it. You can share it with other colleagues that you have, other connections that you have that might benefit from this free mini MBA. So, I appreciate it, Rod, and you everyone have a great rest of the day.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Signing off. Okay, bye-bye.